and they get picked off, and that's what happens. The duo bit off a little bit more than they could chew, took separate fights on the sides and getting the elimination, but unfortunately going down outside of that top 3 that we talked about. And Rek actually in the zone, using the chug splashes to just get enough HP to push himself into the top 3. He's telling himself, just placement, placement, placement. Can he find the zone? No, he will go down. Third place still gets that big boon, and we have a 3v2 with the 2 being up on the high ground. It's Pelican and Kaboo currently sitting on 7 eliminations. Pelican running back out into the zone, but he's going very, very, very early. There's still 25 seconds until full close. You're only going to be running back towards the zone. He's looking for somebody else, not quite going to find it. Instead, looking for an angle now as Pelican desperately trying to find somebody there, but not going to be able to get it. And the low ground team will close out the victory royale here. It's Spidey, Nate, and Blizzy with a fantastic 10 elimination victory royale to kick off the finals here.
Ooh, what a great game there for them. I think coming in below the top 10 into that game, and now definitely going to be shooting up into that top 10. And like you talked about in the pre-show, that is a big ramp up in prize money. But it's not even over for them. We've got 5 more games of awesome action. They could start to make their run for that top 3. Top 1's going to be really hard, but it's still realistic for them. But Dylan and Juicy absolutely dominating as a duo.
They dominate as a duo, but we're going to kick it on over the desk to see what else went down in that match. Zeke, Shio, Kelly, take it away.
Much Sundown and Clay, great first game on the day, but don't forget, as Clay did say, we got 5 more games ahead of us, baby. All right, I don't know. I tried to... Don't talk about it. Forget about it. Okay, so very kind of weird game there kind of toward the end. I feel like there was just like a little bit of panic jumping out of the storm super early, but these things happen, right? First game jitters. It's okay. We can adjust. We can be better. Now, as we're kind of like getting ready to get to the next few games, Shio, I feel like I need a recap on the day yesterday.
Let's talk about what's brewing and what the story was like all the way up to this point of the day. We did say, it's first game jitters. At the same time, these guys have played 6 games before. So checking it out, all the VRs from yesterday, let's talk about how we got here. Looking at Spidey picking up that last one that we just saw.
Yeah, starting off, of course, with the first victory royale, Kytrax Chicken and Avail had height all the way from 6th zone and taking a pretty confident victory royale, but only with 4 eliminations. But that was a different story with the same team in game number 2.
Yep, and game number 2 was a head-to-head standoff. Kytrax versus Epic Whale, and then boom! He lands that last shot, had a quicker draw, and Dragon's Breath to make sure that fire was noticed too.
Oh my.
Back to Kenshi, Snacky, and Chris here, and it's another similar story of having height. But majority of their points were won from having the lower zone there. They did play safe, only walked away with 5 eliminations, but that VR is going to get them a lot of points.
We saw a little bit more from Kenshi just consistently over the day. That VR really pushed him towards the top. This game pushed me way past off my chair. A heel off to win it out. It was nuts.
Absolutely insane. Frapp playing so smart there, hiding away from the enemy team and getting that victory royale. But now it's the reigning champs, Arcrum, Rex, and Epic Whale. The low ground kings dominated in this game as well from zone 6 through 7th, and then had an eventual 3v3 against 40R Reet and Macon. And of course, it went to the way of Arcrum's team.
Yeah, but it looked like they were kind of, still once again being up top in business, trying to take over the region. Juicy, Dylan, and Quinn. You just saw the spinning top of talent they displayed in game number 1, looking at all angles 24/7. They won the last game. They start this game with some huge, awesome eliminations as well, and a crazy end game. That's what you want from the people in the lead, and I guess they'll have to stay there too.
That's right, and now we got to take a look, at the standings. Now, what I like about the standings currently, your first place team is sitting nice. They're sitting healthy. It's Quinn, it's Juicy, it's Dylan, okay? But Arcrum, Rex, and Epic Will, they're lurking in the shadows. They're only 20 points behind, and where we're at in the competition, I feel like that's not that much of a separation, right, Shai?
Ooh, yeah, we've seen 40-point differences before, and, they've been made up. So 20, it's definitely doable by this trio especially.
Something that I want to focus on this page, though, this is, the current standings. The top 5 teams from that game number 7 aren't up here. It was Spidey, Blizzy, and Nate that got the victory royale. Rek and Oracle in second place. Mangoes and Kambu in third place. Cool Penguin in fourth place. So to see them not even in the top 10, I mean, is this just a completely different tournament that we're seeing today?
I understand what it is, right? It's kind of like a catch-up. To squish something, right, like the leaderboard, it would take a hand on top and a hand down below. That hand down below was the one, you know, doing all the work here for this one. Might have not been the top 10 that's affected, but from 11th all the way down to 20th place, this is where the leaderboard really switched up. Now Spidey's in 14th. Krizux is changing up a little bit as well. Pelican, Kaboo, and Mangoes, these guys have a huge elevation all the way back towards the top. 68 points now from before, which I believe was like 20 or 30, so this is a huge big bump up.
Yeah, this is actually what you want to see. I mean, we saw how absolutely close it was from North American East, but it was kind of a top-heavy close. This right now, it's kind of the entire first 20 teams that are now starting to encroach on each other's like territory as far as points go. So it's really exciting to see if game number 2 kind of follows suit in game number 1, because clearly these top 5 teams did their homework last night and were able to take down major teams before even the end game happened.
Yeah, like game 1 was kind of like a hug, making us all closer in the leaderboard. You know, nice love and affection.
Aww.
I like it, because now we have really good competition going into these next games.
I don't understand how you pull these like analogies off your dome, but there's God tier. So Fortnite fam, if you like God tier content, follow ShyWager and follow Kelly, because they both provide God tier content. Now, you know what time it is. We want more action. We want more games. We got it. Because now we're sending it back into next game with our casters. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio, and Kelly. And here we are, match number 8 overall, match 2 on the day. And it's just been a fantastic day of Fortnite. My name's Sundown, joined by Clay Stelling, calling all the action. And Clay, who are you keeping an eye on this game?
We definitely got to keep an eye on our team that just ended up picking up that victory royale all the way over in Craggy Cliffs. Well, they were dropping in Craggy. That's normally where they would be if they were not contested there. But Hunter's Haven, I believe, going to be the POI of choice out here as well, all the way over to this nice, beautiful addition to the map pretty late in the meta. It has offered so much, but it was with the removal of some of the other areas around here. They are doing so well coming out swinging.
Yeah, coming out swinging, just trying to get as much loot as possible around this little cantina area. Again, we talk about kind of how center of the map is such a high priority for so many of these teams. The reason is it makes rotations just a little bit safer, a little bit more predictable. But you also notice how on this particular looting path, they get a lot of room to be able to occupy.
And not a lot of people are going to go up towards to contest them. They have to go up many different inclines to try to get into Hunter's Haven. So they're kind of protected all around by these big hills that you see Blizzy nearby. So not really worried about being a little bit too greedy on their loot. No sniper shots really going to come through there for them. Blizzy is going out to go look for some of these tags, loot up as well. We see for the first time, I think in a while, Slim and Temple going to go down. Ruben and company turning that fight back in their favor, and they will take down Little Slim. And just waiting on that Temple elimination, may be able to confirm that one soon. But great elims over there. But Blizzy and company really need to keep this up, because going into that game, so now they were in 20th place, and now jumping up pretty high. They could do it.
And still plenty of Fortnite to be played, plenty of points on the table, both through eliminations and placements. We're going to swing back on board here to our current first place team. You can see Extra Quinn, TSG, Dylan, and Juicy. Again, uncontested over at Steamy Stacks, making sure they're looting up as much as possible. And this is something I love from Quinn. He's hitting these super high value targets in terms of where you're getting your materials. Each one of those swings is very efficient in terms of getting mats over there. The metal there, very important. You're hitting all of those between those and the fences, allow you to get to max metal in almost as quickly as anywhere else on the map. I think there might be 1 or 2 spots that are just slightly faster, but it's one of the most valued commodities in a drop spot.
And an NPC will always spawn here as well, so they can get that bounty to try to go for those gold upgrades on the rotation. But it's so valuable to have your POI uncontested, because you get so much more loot. And now we get to see Retail Row. This team that we're watching, Nutby and company, had the high ground going into those final zones, but just was not able to convert on it and not able to grab these eliminations. As a team is rolling up, I believe this is Trashy, Epic Walrus, and EXE. As a gas can going to come through, they're all in wood built. It's going to burn them as well as break them up. They're going into the house trying to get away, but the gas can explosion, there was a double one down there. Going to tag them both up, and look at how low they are. Actually, my apologies. It's the other Poppins, Carp and company, who did really well game number one. Game number one, not game number 6, but they are not doing so hot here.
Yeah, they're getting pushed down, trying to fight box to box inside the house, but your house is on fire, literally and figuratively, as each one of them will pick up elimination. That's teamwork. Nutby, Simphy, and Cash getting off to a good start here. They had a solid match number 1, and now rolling it over here into 3 eliminations off the start in match number 2 on the day.
Now an early rotation coming out of 40R Storm, Macon, and Reed already inside of Slurpee Swamp. They know the fight here is messy, it is long, but for the first time, they weren't able to capitalize on the eliminations like they thought they were, the Storm Surge like they thought they would be able to, and that's something they have struggled with. Last game, not as much until that final moment where they had to go in with the RPG, and they weren't able to convert eventually. So I like that they're taking steps already to rotate out early before the zone even moves.
Yeah, and I think that also has to do with where the zone is pulled, becoming a little bit more to the southwest, so they don't necessarily have to worry about so many teams coming towards them, as all of those kind of northwestern side teams are just going to stay on the northern side of that zone. They don't have to come all the way down towards this area or potentially path over by swamps. So it seems like they're taking a little bit more of a calculated path to avoid contact, but still want to make sure they get their surge. So we're going to hop on board here with the trio coming out of Sweaty Sands. So we've talked about them normally creating enough room that nobody's nearby, but there's a team running a scavenger route in between. We didn't see this a lot yesterday.
No, we didn't, and they're going over here to go to this house. The Reaper spawns over here, and he does allow you to get upgrades, and so it's desperately needed for them. As we see a lot of trios play around the upgrades, they can get really good weapons coming out of it. And then, like we saw them do before, they even double upgraded at a different POI. And this is great for them. They're going to be able to upgrade, but can they translate this into something else? Can they get these Storm Surge tags? Especially because they just let that team go for free.
I wouldn't say for free. They got their upgraded weapons, and I'm also a little shocked that teams haven't taken to a scorched earth policy. Now, kind of going to a little bit of a history lesson here, but scorched earth refers to just the denial of resources to your opponents, and I'd expect at the highest level that you'd be taking away those NPCs, the Reapers, the ones who are the Condors, the ones who are able to give over those key upgrades and kind of the key weaponry, because you don't want other players doing it, particularly if you're landing around there. It's not too much effort for a trio to just focus fire down, get the headshots, not trade out any damage. It's the same thing. I mean, I would really expect these top players to be doing that, maybe shooting out the tires from cars that they're not utilizing, especially if they're on kind of a common rotation path, but we don't necessarily see a ton of that.
No, we don't, and we saw it in the reboot. Upgrade or even an exotic purchase from enemies if you were landing nearby. Definitely think we may see it come into play a little bit later, but I'm with you. I'm surprised to see that it has not come into play as we would have expected it to.
Yeah, but right now you can see Reek carrying 9 rockets there. And again, we've talked about when do you decide to use them, when do you decide to go. They've been a lot more of kind of find them with the Storm Surge tags because they've been pushed and threatened to. Ideally, you kind of want to game situation so you can make either a decisive high ground take or try and find a full trio elimination on the low ground by sneaking in some shots. But we're seeing again the patented build a massive stone fort in the middle of the map here by checking Kytrex and Avail, and then just post up with these first shot accuracy weapons, these legendary heavy ARs. You hit a single one of those tags, it does a lot of damage.
And this is exactly how they've done it time and time again. Every game I think we've watched from them, we've seen it. Look, someone's actually taking a liking to their strat and done 2 on the opposite side as snipes are going to be traded out there. Neither one going to hit. Chicken finally with a sniper in his inventory. Let's see if he's going to be able to hit a shot. He tells his teammate, hey, they're trying to Sentinel there, break it. Maybe able to get some tags on them rotating through. He does have some. That shield tag going to go through. Those going to really be negated because they are in the sand. It has that HP right there that you're seeing, those white tags. It will force them to pop out, maybe combo with a sniper, but they are already Sundown. They are one of the first teams to really prioritize that early rotation, and that's why they're doing so well.
And that's the key, and that's why you see them landing in the center of the map, being there, getting as much resources as possible, getting tags because teams are going to have to go past you. Then you have those 0-point crystals that don't end up taking a utility slot, the instant consumables, and they make these rotations just that much safer. You're so hard to hit in this regard. If you get sniped basically while you're 0-point phasing, it's just so absurdly unlucky. It rarely ever happens, which largely ends up being the biggest threat on these rotations. You can see them making sure they're checking the bushes around him, and Avail just firing off shots with his sniper as well. So 2 currently in the loadout of this trio.
That one was really close through the bush into an open edit there. They do get a rotation into the zone, not maybe where they wanted, as we get to see where Quinn, Dylan, and Juicy are set up again. First place team still coming out of game number 1, but how long can they hold on to their lead for? As they are based up right above a team, and being all the way over here from Steamy Stacks, I wonder how many Storm Surge tags they got, because there's not that many players on this side of the map.
Yeah, it's going to be the question again. We'll see kind of that warning tick over here in just about 10 seconds, and then we'll kind of get stock of where the top trios are in terms of the Storm Surge. But right now, expect just a ton of AR trading, potentially a few snipes coming out, and right now Quinn just trying to find an angle, doing a good job making sure he's resetting, guarding his teammate, and catching the 24 tag there. Going to keep them 49 above, but with still 13 players who need to go down to that Storm Surge. They're a little bit dangerous. 2 back-to-back tags will put them almost triple digits above. They should be at least close to safe for this this threshold, but they have to be keeping an eye on the next one too.
Yeah, the AR tags for this trio looking so good. They have a lot of ammo to do it with as well. Don't really have to worry about conserving that in their inventory. They're spread out really well to look for all different sorts of angles, and if FJ and company do make a mistake, they are ready to pounce on that, to go aggressive. Dylan looking with the sniper rifle though, trying to find anybody on that west side of zone coming over. And speaking of the west side of zone, we get to see Rex, Arkram, and Epic Whale and see exactly where they are positioned. Have yet to really move from their initial landing spot, and because of that, they're below Storm Surge by 14 damage.
They're below Storm Surge. They're going to be one of 4 trios under here, and it will start ticking over in 50 seconds, which is very unfortunate because, again, we talked about them having just an abundance of space around their drop spot. Well, that wasn't necessarily the case this time, so you would have thought they got Storm Surge tags. Instead, ran around a little bit to bolster their utility. However, if you don't get a chance to use it, what good is having it, as they end up eating shots on both sides now? That was white tags onto Rex as well. They're going to trade back some more damage, but the clock is against them as they're only 12 damage above Storm Surge, and it's going to start hitting here in 20 seconds, so they're kind of be forced to go. And oh, that's making it 4DR Storm, so if they go, and that's the trio they pick, that's a rocket launcher waiting for them.
And Avail just got knocked in defeat as well. That's our 4th place team. Our 3rd place team, I believe, already out of this game. So much is riding on these sides. Rex is trying to get in. 60 below, now 2 above. The tags are there. That player going very aggressive. The Editor Rex are there, but he's tagged up from a third party. Has to back out, has to disengage. They don't have time to. It's going to start hitting. Damage is coming through. They are above now, barely. Going back and forth, the teeter-totter above and below is coming through, but Epic Whale going to go down. Pelican going to be the one to do so. They're 375 above. Can they get in the box? Can he do it? Can he save him? The Chug Splash is there with 1 HP. Rex comes in clutch. The elimination as well. Big hit there, but can he get the revive?
And you can see that HP is still taking over on Epic Whale, trying to make sure he gets back to him. They're going to be communicating. You see that green kind of cross go next to his name. That means Arkham is picking him up. You can see Rex defending, and that was so absurdly clutch by Rex. That was disgusting in the best of ways. He definitely needs to take a shower after that one with the Chug Splashes. I mean, getting the clutch splash at the last moment. For those of you who don't know, the Chug Splash gives AoE healing, but it works on down but not out players as well. So right before Epic Whale ticked over with very minimal chance of getting a reboot in such a packed lobby, he was able to Chug Splash, turn, edit the wall, hit a huge lever shotgun shot to get the final confirmation, and then guaranteed they're able to get the revive, then having all of the loot from that trio wipe, keeping them above Storm Surge. So just a monstrous play there, keeping them in contention.
That's what you want to see from them coming through. Decisive action onto a trio. Clutch plays by Rex once again. That has been the story of their finals and their run. Rex always put in these situations where he has to perform, and he does time and time and again. Now over to Quinn, Dylan, and Juicy, who are having a hard rotation. Only 30 builds remaining here on Quinn. He is building a lot to get into the zone. Already down to very minimal mats. Meanwhile, Juicy and Dylan are going off in a different direction. They're separated. This is not what we want to see. We want to see them fighting as a unit. They do find some extra loot, but getting tagged from behind. Everything is going wrong for them in this moment. Can they make it go right? Can they fix this problem? And they can. They're getting back together. They're box to box. They have heals. They have a good amount of mats on Juicy and Dylan. But can they convert that into an in-game performance?
Yeah, you can hear the upstairs neighbors there clomping on those metal builds. They know they aren't safe, and the map in the bottom right-hand corner definitely verifies that. There's so many trios on top of them, but we've talked about how they have been the most consistent trio in NA West in terms of the placement, largely due to Quinn and his ability to kind of guide them through here. And you can see branching out and making sure they're getting into the safe zone because he knows that real estate on this side is going to be getting slim.
Now we get to look at Kytrex, Avail, and Chicken. Avail will be picked back up. He did get knocked for a brief moment, but back in the game, fighting here as we're panning around. A lot of people on this edge of zone. West staying with the tradition of if there's people nearby, we're going to jam-pack on top of them, especially on the edge here. The 5G trio up above our first place trio, who, again, have a very, very hard rotate to make because it pulls right into the middle of Sweaty Sands.
Oh, this is going to be so tough for everyone on the northeast side to see there, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. All of those little triangles packed on the eastern side of the circle. The rotation is going to have to come out an early bouncer and making sure they're doing it low so they're not necessarily the best targets for AR. And that wall just ate a heavy bullet that was going to be destined for Quinn, and he couldn't afford to have taken it as he then immediately eats 3 AR bullets from a different angle. So they're going to be boxed up and forced to halt the rotation for a sec as the other trios are now starting to move behind him and be forced in towards everyone else who is already boxed up and sweaty. And you can see them actually potentially looking to get a turn here.
And they've already used so much of their utility, the shield, the builds in their inventory. They have a good amount of Chug Splashes left on Quinn, but they're running out of match. 30 builds once again. He already got a good amount of builds from his teammates. Maybe Jacob will go down in the feed, but this is an unfortunate positioning. They're going to have to take a lot of damage to get into zone. And Quinn, with running out of mats, he doesn't really have an option here. He needs his teammates either to give him mats or build for him because they're below Storm Surge. They have very little mats. They're not in zone. There are not a lot of things lining up for them, but Juicy is taking the lead.
They need to fight one of these teams behind them. They cannot be the first ones going forward to zone. They don't have the mass to be able to do it. They're underneath Storm Surge. They're just now going to be able to get above it. There's a headshot snipe coming out from one of his teammates, but can they find the room now being gifted off of that? You can see them trying to make sure that they have the resources in the right place, have the heals there, but immediately as soon as they try and advance, Juicy loses the entirety of his shield now, and Quinn just 6 builds, and this is what I wanted to see. Fight one of the teams behind you, and then trail in through some of these old utility. That's what's going to get them here, and you can actually see them now opting to go up. You have 6 builds. Why are you trying to go up on the high ground? But Quinn says, don't worry, I got you. Finds a little bit of a layer. Can they find a box-to-box fight that they can win? They're getting dropped down. Juicy with no excess shields, trying to find a little bit of a room. Gets to stare at it, finds a white tag, finds one, finds 2, and they got all 3 of them on the low ground. A desperate refresh that they needed, and they find it. Oh, what a play.
What a play indeed. They find so much match, shields, extra loot all around. It was such a great play by Quinn. We talk about how big-brained he is, and he is so good at doing that, finding moments where they need to capitalize on getting eliminations, and they did in a perfect timing with that zone pulling all the way to the south. Once again, everyone is going to have another hard rotation. Arcrum, Epic Whale, and Rex just trying to secure some of this extra loot, now sitting on 4 eliminations.
4 eliminations right now, and we've just been keeping an eye on our first and second teams overall in the standing. Extra Quinn, Juicy, and TSG Dylan in first with 100 Thieves, Arkham and Rex, and Energies, Epic Whale currently sitting in second. Quinn and Co. on 3, Arkham and his trio currently sitting on 4, so still just showing off that they have been the kings of consistency, and Quinn finding a fantastic Tarpon layer here, but they need to be careful as they start moving through these older builds, as they are going to be one of the last trios to go in, and you can see this is something they've done over and over again, kind of going for almost a later second high ground take and just getting above that first little like apartment building that's been crammed on the lower floor.
And this has separated them from everyone else. They get a lot more angles to look at and go through if they need to rotate through, taking minimal damage, using a decent amount of builds. They're still pretty healthy. Quinn on 92. We do see 40R Storm going to get in elimination to feed. Someone trying to spray out Juicy there from below, trying to get those little tags. They do get a couple, and it was our game 1 winners of today. Spidey, Lizzie, and company trying to make something happen, and based on that, the immediate rotate. They did not want to make the same mistake they did just moments ago. They wanted to rotate early, and while being tagged up just a little bit, they put themselves at such an advantageous position right now. This is looking so great for them.
Yeah, but unfortunately, having to burn his Chug Splash just to just get himself and his teammate back up, not necessarily getting them the amount of white heals they want, but they will continue that streak of just making it into the placements as we're closing in on that threshold. We'll get a look at the lobby, but they have such a great layer. You see currently 46 players left, 18 trios, 1 more will need to go down, and we'll start having our placement points, but that Storm Surge is going to go through, and it's going to potentially hurt depending on how many trios drop here. As you can see now, Quinn opting to completely close off that tarp, and they're just playing for the late game as everyone else is continuing to rotate through. We'll swing on over to our 4th place trio here, who's also sitting on 3 eliminations, but currently below Storm Surge, so they're going to need to go here.
Yeah, they got to hop into a box, trying to find something. The edit down is there. They're in a tarp, but a Veil separated from Kytrex and Chicken as they are now back together. Their shotguns are out. They're breaking down, trying to find somebody on the low ground. They find an old Bill. They find a tarp, but the player inside, are they going to be able to get in? Are they going to be able to capitalize? Trap going to go down to Juicy in the feed. Reet and 40R going to be operating there on the opposite side. They're getting taken down pretty low. The damage is down from Avail. Will he get anything more? No! They're all going to go down. Not enough damage, not enough time left in the game for them.
They couldn't get the conversion on those knocks there. Just enough defense played by that team, but unfortunately, both just going to be dragged down to the bottom there as we're going to swing back on over. First place in the West. Could this be Rich Homie Quinn, a.k.a. Extra Quinn, along with Dylan and Juicy? The ride to the top, trying to upset 100 Thieves, Arkham, Rex, and Epic Whale, the favorites across from West for virtually everybody, but Quinn says, can't count me out, as immediately then hops into the box. His teammates are with him, showing the importance of being hip to hip the entire time. With 15 HP in a dream, he can't take any more storm ticks. Quinn is going to go down, but not before. They get 7 eliminations and at least in 8th place, as still Juicy and Dylan are on their feet, but their backs are to the zone, and with no builds left, they have to find something, and they have to find it here. One will go down, but he trades it out. He finds one. He finds two. He needs the conversion for the points. He gets both of them. He gets the builds. He has 2 HP and a dream, and he magically drops down, and then unfortunately falls into another layer, but a great finish, still continuing the run of getting placement points. So we'll swing on over to our second place trio, who immediately faces adversity as Epic Whale and Rex both fall, and Arkham tries to find a little bit of room, gets the conversion, but the mats won't be enough as he needs HP, and he will fall as well, just outside of the top 3.
Not able to do it there. Chris, Snacky, and Kimchi, though, are 6th place trio, 5th place trio, rather, coming into this game, still here. They can still operate with everyone out ahead of them. They have this opportunity to look for any of the eliminations. Ooh. There goes one onto Chicken, and it is a 3v3 with the team on high ground. It's X, Trashy, and Epic Walrus, who are full HP, sitting on 11 eliminations. They have mats galore. They can build forever, but Kyle Poppins, Epic Wars, trying to drop down, getting dropped down unexpectedly as well. He's in a box. Does he have the damage? No. Snacky going to take him down. This is falling apart. They have poppers on Snacky. He is going to be able to pop it. Finishes there as well. Will be able to get back in the zone, though, into his team. He doesn't need to. He's got the floppers. More pop there. He has more time. He can get back in. The heal-up potential is not there. Med kit was picked up. They're dropping down. They got the eliminations. Another one knocked there. Then all of a sudden, high ground is crumbling under the pressure. Snacky, Kimchi, and Chris are doing so well at finding these eliminations. It's a 3v1.
Brilliant performance there from the low ground, sticking together and closing it out. But right now you can see Poppin still has 2 chug splashes, not going to be enough to heal the flopper down on the low ground, but the effective HP could make it close. Can he pull off a 1v3? But instead, he's going to throw himself into the fray, down into the shark pit. He'll tick it on over, but Snacky, Kenshi, and Chris with the 9 elimination victory royale here in match number 8. What a fantastic performance, and I just can't wait to see this leaderboard.
I can't either. It is gonna be insane. I think 4 out of our top 6 teams were in that end game, so it is still gonna be close after game number 2 here of the day, game number 8 overall. And honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen at the top of the leaderboard, because Quinn was in there so late, Arkham was in there so late. The 5th place team just got a victory royale with a good amount of eliminations. It is all up in the air.
And there are so many of kind of those lower and middle ranked teams racking up eliminations and placement points. We're going to have to see the impact on the overall standing. So let's kick it over to the desk.
Absolutely. It's your friends. It's Zeke. It's Shio. It's Kelly. And of course, we just had our casters. It's Clay. It's Sundown, of course. Now, we're wrapping things up here. We got game number 2. It's done and dusted, okay? We got 4 games left ahead of us. And what I'm seeing so far out of NA West that I'm loving is that so far in all of these games, there's like these little pockets, these little moments where you can kind of pull all these teachable moments for not only our viewers, but for potential trios wanting to compete.
No, absolutely. You know, honestly, usually broadcasts have kind of like a freeze frame. I'm going to call this one a pressured pause. We'll take a look at some of those big moments from game 1 and 2 that really rattled up the standings and maybe teach you guys a thing or two.
Well, that first moment that we have to look at, of course, it's Mangoes, Kaboo, and Pure Pelican in the Game 7 that we just watched. Pelican right there making an interesting play. You see that he has 3 floppers there, Shio. Now, what should he do in this 2-team situation?
Yeah, this is the final 2 teams. You know, he kind of went early for the heal off. We saw it before, but check out why, right? All the way ahead, it's low ground. These guys are out of materials. He wants to maybe buy some time and then come in on an off angle, maybe land a few shots. Down below, though, with that off angle, Spidey was able to block it off. So it looked like a questionable play at first. Almost worked. It was actually Spidey with the insane reaction to block the bullets to not allow Pelican to get this shot off, to get this kind of flank off that really no one expected. It was a little bit early, but these guys did not have the firepower to be able to sustain a 2v3 fight.
Yeah, he definitely had some floppers there, but you can see he's already done with all the floppers while pretty much everyone from the enemy team is still alive. He kind of left Kaboo alone in that situation and decided to go a little bit early, but now we are switching to a play that we just watched in game number 2. It's Arkham Rex and Epic Whale.
Yeah, so patience before, and this time it's absolute pressure. So in this moment, Epic Whale goes down. Arcrum's in trouble. Remember, these guys came towards the top 5, so to survive here and go for that placement, Rex had to get the Elim and try to keep Epic alive.
But the Elim, it's such a difficult place to be in right now, going up against the players right here. What did he decide to do? Rex actually went for it and was able to grab the elimination. Arcrum grabbing 2 eliminations, and then they were able to pull Epic Whale back up.
Yeah, he just shot out that pyramid, insta-edited the floor. Chug Splash is on the brink of just not being existent whatsoever for Epic, and a quick edit afterwards to land the shot. Builds defensively, makes sure to get the mats first, and then goes back to Epic to defend. Hold this angle. That sniper sounds so scary. We gasped when we heard it. Almost thought he landed the shot. But this was huge for him to stay in that game. And in that last game, man, that end game was insane too. Snacky looking more like a full meal. Like, this man did everything, and that's 7 Elims.
I mean, that team definitely looked great, and obviously they got the victory royale playing from low ground, but EXE on height had 8 eliminations by himself, so obviously an incredible performance there as well from the second place team.
You love to see it. Class, you are dismissed. We hope that you have learned something today. All right, let's take a look at our standings. Remember, this is a cumulative standing leaderboard, so we had 6 games yesterday. We're 2 down today, 4 left to go. Now let's see who's in that number 1 spot. It's currently Quinn, Juicy, and Dylan. They're holding on, but once again, I'm telling you, the sharks in the water, Arcrum, Rex, Epic Will, they're just keeping, it's like they're just waiting. They're almost like playing with their food.
I honestly think this food has graduated to be a shark of its own. Was popping off. Yes, these guys are close. Kenshi also getting bigger fins. A huge game from that squad.
As well, but we do see Wavy Jacob and Jay up there now in 6th place, jumping up. And speaking of jumping up, Reed, 40R Storm, and Macon now currently in 8th place.
Yeah, this is actually making sure that the rest of the competition is elevating. Still, our number 1 team with Quinn has broken that 200-point line, so everyone is just playing absolute catch-up. Triple digits start at the 13th place spot. That's where Krizix, Alithi, and Frap roll into. I mean, the Victory Royale being this low on the board, Kelly, you can just see how tight the competition really is.
I mean, look at the point difference right now. This is not even a 10-point difference between 11th and 15th place. It is a very close competition. And remember, obviously all these teams are fighting for first place, but they're also just fighting for spots on the leaderboard as well, because every time you make it to another placement, you get from 5th to 4th. That's like another $3,000 that you've just added to your pocket. So even if you can't make it to first, you can sure bet that all of these teams are going to be fighting for as much as they can.
Yeah, and for all these teams in general, I feel like the slowest chance, even all the way to 20th, to hit first. We have 4 more games, and these guys are looking really good. Each win has 9 Elims. We can definitely boost it up, but that means Quinn has to slow down, and Epic Will has to fall back to sleep. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
These are tall orders for sure, but hey, anything is possible. Now we are moving on to game number 3 on the day, so let's kick it back over to our casters to take us in. Over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio, and Kelly. And here we are, match number 3 in day 2, match number 9 overall. 4 left in the entirety of this FNCS, and what a way to wrap up Chapter 2, Season 5. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are watching in the world and whatever platform you are on. Special shout out to those tuning in from Party Royale. Make sure you get the popcorn out, take some notes, have a seat, whatever your favorite emote is. My name's Sundown, calling all the action alongside Clay Stelling. So we're going to hop on board here with our last match winners.
And they've had an interesting story. Landing Caddy Corner, we saw very early on, I believe, in either game number 1 or 2 from yesterday. They were contested, or if not nearby contested, and were rotating out towards Camp Cod, towards that weather station, to try to push for these early tags, early elimination. Aggression was the name of their game. Toning it down a lot coming into today. They realized the position they put themselves in, the opportunities they have right now, and they've toned it down, and they're doing so well because of it.
It's really impressive to be able to see that level of execution and making sure you're working together. And it just goes to show how one massive game can really change the pace. It's a momentum base. There's a lot of momentum here. There's a lot of consistency that ends up coming out when you're able to feel like you can roll and win fights. And particularly now that they're getting a little bit of help with this zone as well, maybe they can chain together some positive performances here.
With the amount of loot they're getting, it's gonna be so beneficial for them, especially controlling Catty Corner with that upgradable NPC there that spawns there. And if they're able to maybe get some extra gold around the map, go back and grab the big kill up there, maybe find a bounty or two, a couple challenges completed from this game would be insane. There are some nearby, but over to Weeping Woods, Solution and Jagbear, who coming into this game were in his players. Down a player, a whole nother trio is in of Chicken, Avail, and Kytrex, and now they're going to disengage.
This is the fastest we've seen them leave the middle of the map. Almost always, almost every single game, they have done that pseudo port-a-fort strategy where they build up massive and stone and just look for tags around the area. So I wonder what kind of force this change in game plan out of them.
They maybe not happy with their past performances, but still overall in fourth place, still within striking distance of that first place. And it's interesting to see. We'll have to wait and look at the overall story of the game to determine exactly why he wanted to go a little bit more aggressive. Maybe not happy with the amount of eliminations they're getting early games. Now going to be able to go back in. Nobody seemingly on this side. And I like that they're going back to try to grab any extra loot because they are not full on mats. They can look for rotations towards Dirty Docks if they want to. There is 2 upgradable NPCs there if they were not taken out by the teams that land there. And overall, they've got the setup. They just have to be able to convert.
Which is what Fortnite is all about, getting the utility, setting yourself up, and then executing on the options that you've given yourself. And we see these players do it. Just a reminder, you are watching the FNCS finals. We have already crowned 6 trios as champions of their regions. We've given out 18 axes of champions that will be worn until we have new champions next season coming through, which yet again will be trios. On the line today here in NA West, the number 1 spot will receive the bulk of that prize money and the axe. The top 3 will be qualified straight through to the Chapter 2 Season 6 FNCS Finals. So that is a massive boon to be able to get into that as we switch on over here to a fight just outside of Slurpy Swamps between Union Jeffus and Dardis in another trio.
Our reboot round winners looking to try to come back in because, reminder, even if you think they're not in the running for that number 1 spot, there's so much money on the line, especially if you're able to get into that top 10, solidify yourself up there. Again, every placement goes up by a significant amount of money for your trio. And so they're looking to capitalize on these eliminations. They have fought this team, I think, every single game here today, looking to turn it around once again, trying to make something happen, but does not seem like it's going their way.
But I'm all for this. Like, I would much rather see these teams looking to take fights, looking to get a little bit more aggressive, avoid the problems with the surge, particularly if you've been struggling to find a drop spot and finding an area where you can execute, but you know you're able to fight together. Keep poking, keep prodding. Eventually, somebody is going to collapse. They are good fighters. This is the best of the best. They've had to fight for 4 weeks to even get to this level, so they know they're able to execute in some manner, and Ordep shows it off there. They're able to win the off-spawn fight, pick up 3 eliminations, and because they're in Slurpee, they should be able to get right back up to that 200 effective HP threshold, no problem.
Great box-to-box fighting there. Did not worry about their teammate being down, didn't let it affect them. And speaking of trios that have really good box-to-box fighting, being down affect their performance, it's Arkham, Rex, and Epic Whale, as they're already from Sweaty Sands down near Slurpee Swamp, looking for these tags, trying to make sure they don't get put in that situation once again.
You can see there also in the loadout of Epic Whale opting to carry that legendary pistol. We've talked about it a little bit. Why would these players decide to carry it? Well, largely it's because, one, the first shot accuracy reset on that, aka when you stand still or when you crouch down, that first shot coming out is one of the fastest, if not the fastest in the game. Additionally, it doesn't have a reduced headshot multiplier. All the rifles have a 1.5 headshot multiplier. The pistols, 2.0. So the 25 damage coming through if you are able to chain headshots together, and these guys are scary accurate at times.
To put them above.
Yeah, when we're talking about tags, that means getting the hit registration confirmation when you kind of shoot somebody else. You kind of keep track of that damage, knowing, hey, I got 22 there. Oh, there's a headshot. I got 38. And you know generally how much damage you've dealt. You keep track of that, and they've got an idea how much damage they need over the course of this finals to kind of make above the threat of the monster. One thing that's really beneficial about this area and the position they have is that regardless, before Storm Surge ends up going off, most of the lobby is going to have to rotate past them. So you can see that quick stat flying in on the left-hand side of your screen. 11 teams have multiple sniper healers in this finals. None have ever fallen to Storm Surge. So sniper confirmations coming over, being big headshots, just providing such a huge abundance of damage towards the Storm Surge threshold.
Insane fact coming out of West is when you think about snipers in EU, you think about Thomas, HD. NA East and NA West don't really have those premier snipers when it comes to mine, and now Storm Surge is going to give us that warning. 17 players are going to be below, and with the update there, 54 above for Nate, Blizzy, and Spidey for them, and that's why you see them constantly looking for more and more tags.
Yeah, that number's just going to shrink until they are able